Hey, welcome back to Sage Collector Car Services. Happy Saturday. Wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on the 1958 XK-150 and the Hasselgren Engineering built 4.2 liter straight six, which is now rated somewhere with 11:1 compression ratio, running through triple SUs and a 123 distributor, rated somewhere around 320 horsepower and about 340 foot-pounds of torque. So it ought to be entertaining. Client and friend of mine who owns this car lives in Colorado at high elevation. Well, all of Colorado is high elevation, I guess, but I think he lives somewhere around 6,000 feet. So he's gonna have a good time driving this thing on track days, and I think just touring it around. I think it's being built with some good rear end gears and a Series 2 E-Type 4-speed with this 4.2 liter, and I think it's gonna be real entertaining. And got some motor mount work to do in here, because of course this is slightly different than the 3.4 that would have come in this car. When this car was purchased, the 3.4 liter was water seized real bad and deemed best to be used as a boat anchor, I think. So this car was also, when it was purchased with the understanding that there would be a rebuilt motor sent along with it, and that proved not to be the case. But the client was inclined to go ahead and do the work required to get this thing rebuilt. For those of you who don't know, Paul Hasselgren down in Berkeley, Hasselgren Engineering, really top-notch work. The motor absolutely is rebuilt now, and it's custom Carrillo rods and pistons. It's got custom ground cams, and then there's an issue with the tappet angles on some of these Jaguar motors, and that's been corrected as well. This has an earlier series E-Type triple SU carb intake manifold, and like I said, the 123 distributor is going to be all real helpful, I think, for making this thing just sing at high RPMs. That when Paul sent me the video of this thing on the dyno, I was watching the dyno numbers go up, and I've driven straight sixes a lot, so I'm kind of familiar with what they sound like at 3,000, 4,000 and beyond RPMs. This thing was musically singing into the 6,000 RPM range, and that feels nice. And Paul said, "Oh man, you can go beyond that comfortably, but you don't kind of need to. The power numbers on a straight six do, at least on this body of straight six. There are a lot of modern straight sixes that would not follow that same rule, but you know, my Toyota Land Cruiser that's right here has a straight six in it. It's a 3.9 liter 1F in this 1970 FJ55 station wagon. Kind of similar technology in some kind of way to this straight six that's in this 1958 Jaguar XK-150. This, of course, with the dual cams. This, of course, the whole entire XK series of Jaguars, when they came out and then they sort of burst onto the scene, the XK-120 was just captured the fascination of the automobile world, because at that time, to go 120 miles an hour was pretty impressive. And so the XK-120 got its nomenclature from the fact that it went 120 miles an hour. And then the XK-140 followed for the same reason. And then the XK-150 followed for the same reason. I think this one, actually, the original XK-150s, I think they broke the 150 mile an hour barrier, but I think that XK-150 sounds better than XK-152.6 or whatever it was. So this car is pretty neat at this point. It's a lot of metal work has been done. You can still see some sections where there is some more work being done. We just got the roll bar done. A local shop here with impeccable quality standards, from where I sit anyway, was able to do that roll bar, and man, it turned out exquisite. And the end results are a roll bar that will be SCCA qualifiable. So in the event this customer wants to drive this any track days, I don't think it'll be competed, like I don't think he'll compete per se for any particular, but who knows, maybe he will. And so the roll bar gives him access to all those different events because it is SCCA approved and built to those standards. I just put a trunk floor in here, just made the trunk floor. We've got some metal surrounds built for the roll bar. There's still a panel at the back where the roll bar has penetrated that scuttle at the back of the cabin. That used to be a flip-up door with bolts so that you could open it up and access the top of the shock mounts. Since this client has a lift in his shop, he's not necessarily bound any longer to need to take that off to get those bolts at the top. So there's lots of room for a socket. There's lots of room. I don't really understand the need for the access on top. So we're gonna weld that sucker up and make it into a plate that has little rings around where the roll bar penetrates that into the frame, the top of the frame. Let's see, what else? This FJ55 right here, the old Forest Pig, Wilbur the Forest Pig, has been getting a lot of work done on it. The wiring harness is only now held into the truck by a scant couple wires, and that'll be nice to get the wiring harness pulled out. I'll certainly give it a good inspection. There aren't really good aftermarket availability for parts for this FJ55. As you can see here, I very easily could have wanted a rear quarter for this thing. I did do some work on it. I did make a panel for the back. If this were an FJ40, or even I think an FJ60 for that reason, on either side of this truck, there is a greater aftermarket support for parts. Since this thing doesn't have very much, certainly in the way of sheet metal, I'm just kind of doing it myself. And I started this truck almost three years ago now, or almost 4 years ago now. Well, time flies when you're having fun. So this is going to be going off to Precision Classics, and I'm going to have a bunch of sandblasting done on it. And I know there's a lot of real passionate responses when someone says they're sandblasting something. People get real, or you can't, well, you never, and it's the truth. Sandblasting does leave a lot of debris. But in the case of this truck, the floors are Oregon Forest Fresh. And so it's going to be, I think, best to just sandblast the bottom side of this thing, the whole floor, all the engine bay, and then I'll get the engine bay done in a satin black, and I'll finish the sheet metal work I have to finish on the inside of the floor, and that'll prep it for a Raptor liner. And it's not going show quality, but I am going with what I would like to say is a high quality work on this truck. This section notwithstanding, I really like some of the work I've done on the truck. I've been able to learn in the last 4 years some better techniques. I've also gotten a lot of tooling in the shop that I didn't have when I first started that. I've got an English wheel over here. I've got a brake. I've got shrinker stretchers. I've got a planishing hammer. I've got multiple leather bags. I've got a good collection of hammers. I've got a bunch of dollies. I've got the things that make metal move easier. And I've also got 3.5 years under my belt of doing it. And I'm not claiming to be the best at anything, but I know when I look at some of the work that I've done on this truck, I know I can do better than this. And I know part of me really expects that I'll be jumping back into some of those spaces. I don't know that I need to. It's not like I'm going to be showing this thing off in bare metal. The story behind this truck is that it was found up in the forest outside of Leeburg, Oregon, by Vida, just east into the mountains from Eugene. And it had been sitting in the forest for an awful long time. And when I saved it, I did so because I thought, you don't see these very often. They are cool rigs. They do have a good following. They're awfully reliable. They're excellent machines, and they have some cool aspects to them. And because of that, I thought it was worth saving. I thought it was worth grabbing this little sucker and bringing it home. That's before I found out that it turns out it's been rolled over 3 or 4 times at some point, and I don't know why, flipped down a ravine. The whole roof was caved in super bad, was filled with Bondo. I pulled out over an inch of Bondo in a bunch of sections. This whole quarter panel was just hammered in. It's on its 3rd hood. This whole front fender was ripped and shoved into the side of and all of this, of course, hidden by stacks of Bondo. So I've since gotten the roof pulled back up, and it was making all sorts of noise when I was stretching it back out. The second hood that was on the truck when I got it was full of rust and full of Bondo and was the wrong color for the truck. And then I was able to luckily to connect with, through a good friend of mine in Land Cruisers over the years down in California. I was able to connect with a really nice rust-free hood, and the same guy had from the same truck a really excellent set of passenger side doors, where the passenger side B-pillar had actually been crushed in so hard from when it flipped and rolled that even though I pulled all that back out, pushed all that back out, the metal was super stretched from being overworked by the people before me and then by me. So trying to save what I had, and then I was able to luck into a really nice set of rust-free doors. This truck is just going to be getting its 1F put back in it. It's 3.9 liter straight 6 put back in it. I do have a header for it. I don't know if you can kind of see it stacked up here behind me. Got a really nice header for it. It's going to have electronic ignition. That's probably about it. GM single wire alternator. Simple little changes that make these trucks more dependable. And then I'm looking forward to having this thing as a work truck. Jake helped me build some rockers for it back when it was at the house about 3.5 years ago. And now I could be building them here myself, which is nice. It's cool to have a shop. It's cool to have access to tools. Behind the Land Cruiser, the Datsun NL-320 is being mocked up for its 2nd full mock-up on frame with all the proper body bushings that have all been 3D printed. Ken, the owner of that truck, did a really cool thing. He mocked up all the stuff in 3D modeled it, and we 3D scanned the whole truck, and then had some stuff built, and then built some stuff himself. And that little sucker is it's an E-Series Datsun motor that's got a little turbo on it. It's a cute little turbo, but it's gonna be a really entertaining little truck. Also, that's also in bare metal, and I don't know how much I can grab this tripod. I'm a little scared of technology. I don't know what it's gonna do, but let's find out. If I pick this thing up, what does it do? Hey, there I am. So this little motor right here has got a good amount of parts on it. Pretty neat stuff. Almost down here. Here, boy. Anyway, it's going to be mated to this automatic transmission, which the camera is almost letting you see. The automatic transmission is so that the owner of this truck can let his wife can drive it, and there's a lot of folks who will bust someone's chops about, well, I can't believe you put an automatic. I don't know. It's not your truck, it's his. And this little motor is going to be putting out, I think, pretty good numbers, especially once it's boosted. It's all crank trigger, and it's got you know, cam work done and cylinder head stuff done, and should be entertaining at least. And then the metal work on the truck is coming around, not quite as far around as my gimbal is allowing it to come, but coming around anyway. The turbo is going to actually be remote mounted up into the side of the engine bay, just a little bit into this recess here on the side of the driver's side fender well, which will leave room on the other side of the fender well for, the theory here is it's going to have some air conditioning and improvements to the heating system. Anybody that's ever driven an old Datsun, this is a 1965 NL-320, anybody that's ever driven an old Datsun knows, man, their heaters aren't great. Up until the 620s anyway, I've been driving a 521 for years, or had been driving one before I pulled it apart a few years ago. But, you know, drove that thing in Denver for years, and the heater was always a whisper away from good enough. It would like defrost little sections of the window. And my daughter and I drove that Datsun from Colorado to California in the middle of winter, late winter. One year she was like 13 or 14 years old, and we drove out and we were bundled up in sleeping bags and blankets because that little heater, the heater core is just this little thing, and it was just doing the best it could. Not to mention door seals or whatever being bad on those little things, but in this case, it's going to be getting a modern version of something like the way that hot rods will have, you know, vintage air will sell you a whole kit that's under dash. You know, improvements to the ventilation system in a big way, AC and heating for sure. So this truck just got a bunch of floor work done. Oliver has been helping out. It's been really cool to get to know Oliver. He and I actually happen to live on the same block, and kind of got to know each other as he drove by, or as he would see these weird projects, Panhard or DKWs or Alfa Romeos or Fiats, or, you know, the 550 Spider in the garage or whatever. And so Oliver stopped by a couple times and we got to know each other, and turns out he's got some skill with metal and has been building hot rods, mostly American traditional stuff. He really likes the 32, 34 style vintage, that era. And I'm more of the next iteration. Oliver's a younger dude than I am, but he's been an excellent addition to the shop here at Sage Collector Car Services. It's been great to have his help, and while I'm giving shout outs, I'll say that it's been great to have Bagel on board too. Bagel is an excellent scooter mechanic. He's also a bit of an arborist of sorts. And he's also just a downright good dude. And he has been here for several days helping out part-time as well. And brings a whole different quality of stuff to the table than Oliver does. Likewise, Rob has been amazing to have on the Land Cruiser. I've been able to have him just kind of get with sort of what I'm doing with the Cruiser and look into it from his own, with his own perception, and carefully disassemble stuff when I ask him to, and he can look at stuff and knows what's going on. It's been so freaking cool to have some kind of good help in the shop. And I'm stoked about it. I don't know what to say other than I've been in business for just under 2 years, just a whisper under 2 years, and I'm digging it. I'm loving the ride. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. For those of you that I do get text messages, almost every time I post something, I get a text message, hey, great to see the new video, you need to do more. You need to post every day, post as often as you can. That is a job that I don't relish. This kind of long meandering thing I can get into because I just have to stop the camera, upload the video, and launch it off to YouTube. I don't get into fancy cuts and editing, and if the music's too hard to figure out, I just don't generally do it. I just don't really care much. But I love that there's a lot of you guys who do get in touch with me and say, hey, I'd love to see more stuff on the YouTube channel. So this is a bit of an update, a bit of a tour of the shop and what I got going on. The 1964 Thunderbird, good friend of mine, has had that car with me for a couple weeks now, and that's just about wrapped up, and it'll be heading back to the North Bay of California, North San Francisco Bay area. And when that thing's gone, in comes a 1957 oval window Bug for a full strip and acid dip, and the body's getting sandblasted, and the hood, deck lid, and doors are getting acid dipped, and they will be reuniting and getting some fresh paint, fresh interior, and really looking forward to that little sucker coming in. And then right on its heels comes in the January of 1963 Notchback, which is a god-awful cool story. That car was delivered to Iceland originally from Germany, and made its way to Oregon. And somehow when it was offered up on Facebook, I happened to be at the right place at the right time. I didn't have any money though. Well, if I did, I didn't want to spend it on that car. And so luckily, Steve and Jinxie, who own the little green Bug called Sweet Pea, which is also waiting in the wings for its dual carbs to be set up, and also to get that front end lowered just a little bit to match the back that's a little bit lowered. Lots of cool stuff coming up here at Sage Collector Car Services. Thank you for taking the time to reach out. I love the messages. Not too stoked about making videos, but I really dig your support, you guys. And I wish you all a happy Saturday. The sun is coming out. It's proving to be a really beautiful spring already. And there's lots coming up, so do stick around. Appreciate you guys. Have an excellent weekend.